Hello everyone, welcome to the fifth section of this course, and in this section we'll be creating an image resize function. The fifth section will cover how to create and deploy an image resize function. This section will be the hardest one yet and the perfect way of concluding what we've learned throughout the course. There are several things to understand in order to successfully create an image resize function. First of all, we need to create an S3 bucket for storing images. This will be done through the AWS console. We also need to configure something called Redirection Rules when a resource from the bucket is requested. Then we need to create the service which will do the resizing. But that's not all. The final step is to deploy the service through Docker. What Docker is and why this is needed will be explained in more detail in the coming videos. As you can see, the process of resizing an image using serverless architecture is a bit tricky. So before moving on to the first video, let's break it down to bare bones. The idea behind it is all rather simple when you break it down. A user requests a resized asset from an S3 bucket through its static website hosting endpoint. The bucket has a routing rule configured to redirect any failed request for an image to a resize API endpoint. This will happen every time the requested asset cannot be found. The user's browser follows the redirect and requests the resize operation via API gateway. The API gateway method is configured to trigger a Lambda function to serve the request. The Lambda function then downloads the original image from the S3 bucket, resizes it, and uploads the resized image back to the bucket as the originally requested key. When the Lambda function completes, API Gateway permanently redirects the user to the file stored in S3. The user's browser now requests the available resized image from the S3 bucket. Every subsequent request from this and other users will be served directly from S3 and bypass the resize operation. If the resized image is deleted in the future, the above process repeats and the resized image is recreated and replaced into the S3 bucket. Pretty cool, huh? We've covered the outline of the section and we're ready to get started with the first video, creating an S3 bucket for storing images. In this video, we'll begin with creating an S3 bucket on AWS through the AWS console. We'll also add permissions to the bucket and enable the static website hosting feature every bucket on S3 has. Lastly, we'll upload some images to the bucket so we have something to resize in the coming videos. Ready to get started? Let's go. Open up a browser window. In the browser, open up the AWS console and here in the search box, go ahead and type S3. Click on it and this will take you to the simple storage service on AWS. Here you have all your buckets listed. Because the serverless framework uses S3 to store all deployed services, you should also have a fair share of buckets created already. Let's go ahead and create a new bucket. And let's give it a memorable name. Let's say SLS.js image resize. That should be pretty fine. Let's go ahead and pick a region. Frankfurt works perfectly fine for me. Additionally, we can choose to copy settings from an existing bucket, but we'll skip that for now. Go ahead and press next. And let's move on to the properties. The properties allow you to do several cool things. You can enable versioning and encryption among other things, but we don't need any of that right now. So we can just move on to the next step. And those are the permissions. Here we can set the user access and global access permissions to the bucket. Because it will be a bucket for images, we want to add the grant public read access to the public permissions. Right here. We can now just go ahead and move on. And here we can see the review of the bucket we want to create. Go ahead and press create. Awesome. Here we can see the bucket we have been just now created. Now you need to set the static website hosting. So go ahead and press on the bucket we just created. Here it is. And now you need to press the Properties tab. You see the static website hosting card right here. Go ahead and press on that, and a small form will expand. You can see the endpoint URL and some radio buttons. Go ahead and choose use this bucket as to host a website, as it says. Enter index.html in the field, and you can leave these other two fields blank for now. The redirection rules are what we'll use to redirect a request for an image that does not exist to the image resize service we'll soon create. Just note that the endpoint URL has changed. It now has a prefix with the name of the bucket right here. We'll need this endpoint later in the coming videos, so let's just save this. Okay, now we need to add a policy to the bucket to grant anonymous access. So go to the Permissions tab right here and press Bucket Policy right here. Here in this field, we need to add some statements regarding the policy. So let me just paste that in for you to see. Here we go. Awesome. Just note that this will grant public read access to anybody. This means that this is anonymous read access for any image in the bucket. We just need to delete the insert bucket name I've written here and replace it with the actual name of the bucket. And in our case, that is SLS.js image resize. Like so. Great. Go ahead and save this. Awesome. Now it says that the bucket has public access. With that done, we can go ahead and find an image to upload to our bucket. Awesome. Let's go ahead and open a new tab and let's search for the Earth. I think we're gonna find some pretty cool images. Yeah, this one is pretty cool, and it's rather large, so I think this will work fine. So let's open it up and save it. Awesome. That's great. Just go ahead and save image, and the desktop is more than fine. Let's give it the name of the world. Great. Let's go back to the S3 bucket and just upload the image. We have an upload button right here. Go ahead and press on it. Press on the add files and add a file. Let's go and find the world. Here it is, and open it. It's also a rather large image, almost 2 megabytes, so it's perfect as a test image for resizing. Let's go ahead and next, and let's go ahead and add public permissions. Awesome. And let's go ahead and add, yeah, that's fine. Let's just next through this and upload it. Great. And that's pretty much it. We're ready to move on to writing some real code. Just to check that we've uploaded the image correctly, we can go ahead and open it up. And here it is. Awesome. This video has covered the basic configuration steps for creating an S3 bucket on AWS. It's the very beginning of our image resize service. We've also granted public read access to the bucket and our uploaded image. Now we're ready to move on to the next video and start writing code.